luxury. When I sat that 12 to 8, the Outlaws were usually in a car outside, and I was in the ER waiting room. So the nurse would come out and give me progress reports. And there was this big fat white lady that was the nurse the first 3-4 nights. She came out one night. She's like, "Oh, that Tupac of yours, he's a fighter." I'm like, "What happened?" He's like, "We almost lost him, gave him 500 cc's and whatever, and came right back too." But then she said that he was in an induced coma because each time that he came to, he'd want to pull his plugs out and get out of bed. Each time that he came to, he'd want to pull his plugs out and get out of bed.
He's trying to leave now. But they saying if he leaves, he get an infection. They want him to stay. Like, "Hey, could you please talk to him? He's trying to leave now. Talk to him." I say, "All right, ma." Boom. I go in, I see him. He like, "What you need?" He's like, "Nigga, some weed. Nigga, look, you need to stay like a day or so. Let them, give you shit, make sure you won't." He's like, "Oh." I'm like, "We downstairs. Ain't nobody coming up in here doing." He's like, "No, I don't trust these doctors. These niggas might put something in they know my mama. They know my mama."
There's a Black Panther and all this other type of shit.
I wanted to destroy the Panthers. They absolutely saw the Panthers as the vanguard of a very, very threatening and violent revolutionary movement. They absolutely wanted this organization to be destroyed.
The government killed Pop. The feds had something to do with it. They set that nigga up.
I was like, "That's crazy." And she said, "Gunshot victims wake up at the scene of the crime." So that's what they do. So she said he was in an induced coma the whole time. I went in on the 5th night, and I didn't feel comfortable going in anytime before that because it was the family and Outlaws, and Tracy had gone a bunch of times. But for whatever reason, the 5th night, it was like 2, 3 in the morning. The nurse said, "You haven't seen him yet?" I was like, "No." She said, "Why don't you come see your friend?" So I went in, and immediately what fucked me up was his head was twice the size. So the nurse had said he had water on the brain, and his head was swollen, right? And then everywhere that there was a gunshot was covered with gauze, and he was naked except a little sheet covering his privates. But like the finger was gone, there was just a little bandage there. It was fucked up, bro. I just walked up to him. I put my hand on his arm. It's ice cold. I said a prayer, and then I walked out. And that was the last time I saw him alive.
Is Tupac alive?
Absolutely.
Marion, he says absolutely.
Look,
Really?
Tupac is on a native reservation in Arizona, but when he moved, it's a whole team of sweepers that go ahead of him and another team that follow behind him. You will never know that it was him. You was just thinking that, "I wonder who that nigga is over there with them niggas." It's a bunch of them, right? He say he's not going nowhere with less than 5,000 niggas this time, and he mean it.
I believe in my Heavenly Father, and I'm thinking, a miracle has just taken place because they were speaking so many good things that he's getting better. He's going to make a full recovery. So many positive things. After Tuesday, Monday, not the case. After Tuesday, and then Friday, we get, boom, he's dead. And I'm like, that's kind of where we were. Like, they were just saying he was doing better, and he was going to be okay.
I think Tupac's still alive.
No.
Man.
Because the death don't add up to me. You want to know why the death don't add up? Because I remember Tresh said one time, like,
anybody been to a Tyson fight, ain't fighting Vegas, man. If you stand 3 fucking miles down the road, they'll tell you don't drive nowhere because you're not going to go nowhere. The traffic's so thick. So with all that shit, where all these police, where all the feds, the fuck was that was supposed to be following Death Row, Bad Boy Big and everything, when all this shit going, ain't no motherfucking body there.
There's a lot of loopholes in there, man. I think Tupac, his story is one of the dopest stories, but I don't know if he's alive or not, man. Cause like, wouldn't you be bored hiding out after all these damn years?
Look, I'm just going by a legend here because, you know, for years everybody speculated that he's might be still living.
First of all, me and my brother, again, this is all new information. There is things I've held back for various reasons. Me and my brother were involved with the Black Panthers, with connections through Howard Marks and all the rest of it, Veronza Boas, and the political prisoner. And we had certain tasks that we completed for the Black Panthers. And one of those tasks was the Panthers actually had information that there was a hit out on Tupac. One of those, this all came about at the time they found out there was a hit out on Tupac. There had been previous attempts on his life, and this one they had heard was coming from a much higher level, whether that be government agencies or whatever. Vicinity, I was just told to be close by, and received information that Pac had been ambushed. And I was just told to wait for further information, and you know, I'd receive what to do next. So I got in touch with my brother. He told me that Park had been ambushed and actually shot for real, and he'd been taken to the UMC. So he told me to just wait for further information. He'd be in touch ASAP. A couple of days later, I was speaking to my brother, and he'd had information that Pac was recovering, and I'd heard via the Black Panthers as well that was the case. And Jesse Jackson actually visited Park while he was recovering in hospital, and my brother was horrified, and I said, "What's up?" And he said, Jackson can't be trusted. We know for a fact he's possibly feeding information back. I fed this information back to the Panthers, and they then decided that they'd better hurry up and fake his death quick, in case they came to finish the job off. I introduced myself. I said, "Hello, I'm Michael Nice. I represent a business consortium who want to make a donation to your hospital." I did actually have an ID and my passport and stuff, and I said, "Look, this is who I am." I'd been given paperwork as well, a little badge thing, just to make it look, all legitimate. Anyway, he offered me a drink, which I accepted, and we started talking about, the company's overview, and then I had to stop the conversation. I said, "I'm sorry, doctor." I said, "Can I call you James?" He said, "Yeah, that's fine." I said, I'm sorry, James. I'm basically here to ask you a big favour and to reward you generously." And he said, I'm not sure, he acted all proper. "Oh, I'm not sure, sir, what you're talking about." I said, "Well," and I explained the story. I said, "Look, we need to pronounce someone dead. We basically want to fake his death because there's been an attempt on his life, and if we don't, he will for sure be dead." And he couldn't refuse once I told him the truth. He was willing to help, and I said, we'll make sure you're duly paid, not only to do the job, but never to mention a word. And if you do ever mention a word, you obviously could be in danger. And I actually had a down payment of $50,000 with me in cash, and he said, "Oh no, sir, I don't know if I can take it." And I said, "Look, put it somewhere safe. Just do what you like with it, and there will be more to come, assuming everything goes well." And I explained to him that we wanted everything done proper, all official, as if it was anybody else. And unfortunately, he'd done the job a bit too well, in as much as the only mistake was the body that was provided, which I'll tell you about in a second. The weights and height didn't quite add up, and I don't know who's responsible for it, to be honest. Anyway, talking to my brother, well, I knew anyway, he'd gone to New Mexico with a woman called Gloria Cox. So my brother and Gloria Cox actually obtained a body which was, quite overweight, and, the height was out. And obviously a short space of time involved. They thought, well, that'd be overlooked, because apparently Afeni Shakur was in on it as well, and she would identify the body as being Tupac. So at the time, that didn't seem such a huge detail given the short space of time, and that's basically how it came about. And the big mistake was the doctor was instructed by me to do everything exactly as he should. And unfortunately he did. That was an oversight. It wasn't mentioned that the weights and heights may not be exact, and they were to match Tupac and not the actual dead body. Unfortunately, the doctor done his job too well, and that was a big mistake with hindsight. A lot of people didn't pick up on it. The die-hard people who look into the details and search for the evidence found it quite easily. So yes, that is what happened. They quickly switched the bodies, one out of the ambulance, the dead body. Tupac, who'd recovered enough to get about fine by himself, he then transferred to the ambulance, and the next step was to transfer him to an airstrip, again with a Hard Marks connection, one of his showbiz friends. We had a private plane waiting to get Tupac on board. So the next thing that happened was me and my brother met Tupac at the safe house. Also present were two Panthers. They had also brought another woman who was a makeup artist. They brought him a cool pilot's uniform. Park was going to be escorted to the plane by me and my brother and these two Panther guys, and he was going to be the cool pilot, which he was. And I took a couple of looks. They'd done a good job. He looked similar, but you know, at first glance you wouldn't say, "Oh, that's Park," you know. So yeah, good job. And we were impressed, so we felt comfortable, escorted him to the plane. The two Panther guys were with us, and obviously the pilot was there as well, and we took off and we headed to the Barbados. So me and my brother, the pilot, Park the cool pilot, two Panther guys, we took off, and as we were taking off we were thinking, yeah, successful escape. I felt good. I was almost like escaping from prison. We were all really happy, little hugs and handshakes, and still a little bit of trepidation. Obviously we had to get to Barbados first, safe landing and all the rest of it. You know, authorities and all the rest, we weren't sure what was happening. Were they one step ahead? Very tense moment as well. I think behind all the euphoria, if you like, there was little niggling doubts. Anyway, my brother, his next step, he stayed on the journey, escorting Park to Cuba. He got word to me that they successfully arrived, everything was good, and yeah, and you know, at that point I felt good. That was good operation, and everyone was happy. Obviously things happened after, minor details, slip-ups, all the rest, but yeah, at the time, great, success. We helped Park escape. I said, guys, you know, obviously if I was black I'd be one of you, and they said, "Oh fella, you are one of us." I said, what do you mean? They said, well, consider yourself an honorary Panther. And I said, oh, come off it, guys, there's no such thing. They said, well, no, not officially, but take the mark of the Panthers, and you're one of us. And that's what I did, and I'll show you this, guys. You can see I didn't have this done yesterday. I don't know if you can see that, guys. I am an honorary Black Panther.
How do you know Tupac was talking in the hospital?
Well, back and forth, like for a couple of days, you know, my uncle, you know, was calling, giving us an update, but like a couple of days later, we called him to just see how everything was going. So he was like, okay, what's up? Any news on Pac? Because we ain't heard from him. You know, we ain't heard nothing yet. Again, nothing like on TV or nothing. We was like, we just trying to check in. And so that's why he was like, oh, yeah, it's up, you know, it's up and down. He's cool, he's talking or whatever. So me personally, when I said that in the other interview, I personally didn't talk to Tupac myself or heard him talking myself. But my uncle was like, you know, it seems, you know, he's doing all right, he's talking.
He was conscious on the way to the hospital.
He was conscious on the way to the hospital. He was conscious in the ambulance. He was conscious after they did the surgery.
Or whatever like that. So I was like, okay, cool. And then that's when he, you know, we was having a conversation. He was like, he had said who was up there. You know, I know that, you know, Gaddafi was up there. I believe his mother was up there. You know, just a few family, close people and stuff was up there. So I know my uncle ended up asking, you know, to speak to me. He was on speaker or whatever. And he asked to speak to me. And he was like, and me. And I was like, what's up? He said, you know, all the stuff that took up here when we was up here, all the stuff as far as the video and the pictures, make sure you don't show nobody any of that stuff. So, you know what I'm saying? He was like, and I was like, you know, all right, cool. I didn't think it was a big deal of it then either. You know, he was like, it's very important. Don't show nobody those pictures. Don't show anybody. I mean, nobody. Don't give anybody those pictures. Don't show nobody those pictures. Don't give anybody access to that tape, and don't show nobody the tape. And he was like, I'm gonna have you make copies of me, get copies and stuff of the tape and stuff, and give it, you know, and give it to me. And so I was like, all right, cool. So at the time, I was thinking that, you know, he probably just wants some stuff, the video tape and pictures and stuff of some stuff that he don't got, and that I was gonna probably get some of his stuff that I don't got, and we just exchange and stuff, so we could just have all our, you know, he could have some of the stuff that I took. You know what I mean? Sometimes people like, oh, let me get that picture, let's get that picture. So, you know, that's how I took it at the time. And then especially by him saying that he's gonna be all right, he's talking. In my head, I'm thinking like, okay, all right. He got shot, Tupac, all right, he's gonna survive or whatever. You want a couple of pictures, don't show this, don't show that. He want a copy of the pictures and stuff. And it was simple as that to me. I didn't think nothing else of it. You know what I'm saying? Nothing else of it at that time.
That's pretty bizarre, man. So Frank Alexander called you and he told you that Tupac was talking in the hospital, but at the same time he was asking you for all the pictures and footage you had with Tupac, like something was gonna happen to Tupac.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm saying. Like, so it wasn't a big deal to me to, you know what I'm saying? The whole thing, like I said, I'm thinking everything was cool, everything was okay, and it wasn't a big deal to me. I was just like, all right, cool. You know what I'm saying? That's just how like I said, it wasn't no suspicious thing to me at the time. So when he ended up dying, I was just like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like I thought he was going to survive. I thought he was okay, so I didn't know what was wrong.
When Pac died, if he really did, you know.
If he really died, what do you mean by that?
I mean, when I left that hospital, me and Pac was laughing and joking. So I don't see how somebody can turn from doing well to doing bad.
So you seriously think that he might still be alive?
I'm gonna tell you this, Pac, you never.
If y'all like part 2 of The Escape, the first video definitely had the comments going crazy. Some of you believe Pac is alive and some of you believe he's not. But one thing I think we can agree on is the inconsistency of the story. Some say Pac was talking in the hospital and some say he wasn't. So I think it's only natural for people to come up with their own conclusions. Personally, I'm a pattern observer, and considering the Black Panther's history, I definitely think Pac could have been targeted. It's suspicious knowing the feds were watching. Death Row Records and even had one of their informants bodyguarding Pac. Feds and Panthers don't mix on some real shit. The clip of the guy saying he helped Pac fake his death was a new one for me. It definitely sounds believable, especially when you look at how much was at stake. If anyone had the connections, the money, and the raw intelligence to pull off a flawless vanishing act, it was him. You've got to remember his roots. His family were high-ranking Panthers who knew exactly how to operate off the grid and evade government tracking. When you stack all this up, the informant bodyguard, the muddy hospital timelines, the heavy surveillance, and now this new testimony, it's hard not to question the official narrative. Sometimes checking out of the game is the only way to survive it. What do y'all think about that new clip from the guy claiming he helped him escape? Is he telling the truth or just chasing clout? Drop your theories in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going.